difference will affect your marriage-based green card, especially when it's over 10 years. Okay? Today is our 30-minute live, and I'm here, your host, Ify, your go-to immigration lawyer. We're talking about this age difference of a thing when it comes to getting your marriage-based green card. How does it affect your application? If you are married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you know that you can get a green card through that process. But right now, we're talking about 10 years or more age difference for some couples. I've actually worked with people who have more than 15 years age difference. I'm talking the wife is in her 60s and the husband is in his 20s. They did get approved and he's now in the USA. So if you're concerned about this, or if you're filing your green card through marriage and you're not sure how to prove that the marriage is real when there's a large age difference, this live is for you. Make sure you join us and share this with your friends. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we're doing Q&A sessions here about everything related to getting a green card, especially through marriage. Okay, hello, Jenny. Thank you for being here. I'm glad that you find this information very helpful. I think a lot of people watching me right now, a lot of my followers and people on my Facebook group, they're going to benefit from this because I've seen questions relating to age difference in the group chat. And I want to talk more in detail today to clear all your doubts. Make sure you understand what USCIS is looking for when it comes to proving that the marriage is legit. Okay. Thank you on TikTok for all the likes and the shares. And if you're not following me already, make sure you do so that you get notified whenever we go live and share any tips. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to dive right into it, and you all know that you can reach out to me for one-on-one calls if you have more questions that you need to get started or anything relating to your green card. But I'm going to dive into some of the common scenarios that USCIS will suspect, especially if it's a marriage-based green card, right? So USCIS may suspect that your marriage is fraud if there is that 10 plus year age gap, because it creates different barriers, right, within the relationship. Age difference, language barriers, those type of barriers can really call into question, are you in this marriage for real, or are you just here just to get your green card? That's one of the common scenarios that you see with USCIS, what they're looking at to be able to tell, like, hey, this looks suspicious. Because what is a 70-year-old man doing with a 20-year-old girl? Like, how are you going to build a future together? That's where the burden falls to you. Okay? Now, generally, there is no specific age that the USCIS expects us to be when you get married. I mean, do whatever you want, marry who you love, just do your part, right? But just know that if someone is just older than you after a certain age, it just wouldn't, for the sake of a green card, it just wouldn't add up. Because remember, guys, and I say this on this channel all the time, the point of a green card, the main factor that they look at is that you have the intent to build a future together with your non-citizen spouse. So if there's that huge age difference, how can we prove to them that you still have that intent to build a future together? Yeah, that's essentially the point. That's what they're looking at. If your situation is unique and for some reason you find yourself in this, you just fell in love, you traveled abroad, you met someone, you fell in love, that burden falls on you to let them know how you're going to build that future together despite these differences. Okay? Hello, Cassie and Nikki. Thank you for joining. And I see Noah on TikTok. Thank you for being here. All right, feel free to ask your questions about this topic, guys, as I'm going over it, because this, like I said, is a common scenario for fraud suspicion. Marriage fraud is very common, is more common than you all think. Very common because most people just want that marriage of convenience so they can get their green card to start living here, working here, and all of that. Perhaps maybe situations in your country is not the best, right? I get that. But you have to make sure that if you're applying for a marriage-based green card, it is a legit marriage. And a 20-year age gap just seems suspicious. All right. So Munaz on TikTok is asking, so a 24-year-old with a 33-year-old, is that suspicious? And Munaz, no, that's not suspicious at all. That's a pretty normal age gap. This is, well, how many years are we talking? 6, 7, 8, 9 years? 9 years is pretty cool. I think 10 plus is where I start to raise my eyebrows. And I'm telling you guys, if I'm raising my eyebrows at your case or your scenarios, USCIS is definitely going to give you a huge side eye because they can see, they've seen so many more cases than I have. And so they know every type of scenario where people could be lying. 9 years, pretty normal. Okay? Munaz, thanks for that question. I know many people that I work with, they're usually within the less than 10-year age group. So that's not something that comes up with us here at the firm, but I've had 1 or 2 clients that really had, I'm talking 20 plus years, like 30 years or something. It's still wild to me because the couple, like they looked really in love, really young, because if you're taking care of yourself, eating well, being 70 ain't nothing but a thing, right? It's just a number, especially if you're black. Okay, black don't crack. So it's not about people looking old or anything. It's more about that plan to build a future. For example, the people that I'm talking about here is the petitioner, the U.S. citizen, is the older one, and then the other person is the younger, the beneficiary is the younger one. In that scenario, how can they potentially prove that this marriage is going to be, is for a long term and not just for this period of getting the green card? You know, because they're not going to be able to have, they're not going to have any babies, so they're not going to say, oh, we're planning on having children. You know, so what could they possibly do? And I'll talk to you more about that as we go along here. As I see questions, I'm going to answer them. But essentially, I want you to know what your options are so you don't shy away from a relationship that you truly, you know, you're in love and you truly believe that you want to build a future with that person. You don't have to shy away from it. You just have to keep these things in mind if you don't want that assumption of fraud. That's what we're doing here today. Okay. All right, Munaz, thanks for your follow-up question, and I'll get to that in a little bit because this is in relation to the interview, and very good for us to talk about this because spousal visas require interviews, a green card requires interview, and if there's age difference, best believe it's going to come up. So I'll tell you what kinds of questions in a little bit, but let me get through some of these things I have written down here just to show just how a couple in this scenario I'm describing with a large age difference can essentially prove that their relationship is real and it's not just for the green card. Okay, so the types of evidence that you would use would be essentially the same to a typical marriage green card, but just with a little bit of pizzazz. Because the burden is on you, remember? It's not up to them to figure out whether this marriage is real or not. The burden is definitely on you. So while in many marriages, cohabitation is not a must because scenarios could rise up, like someone being a student or working out of state or anything that takes them out of the household. They don't necessarily have to live together for the green card to be approved. Okay, that's just in general. But in a case where there's a large age difference, cohabitation, meaning evidence of a lease of you living together, will be prime evidence because what else are you all really doing, or how else are you going to build this relationship if you're not living together? Yeah? In some scenarios, your spouse might be abroad. Fine. You're not living together at that point. But once the spouse comes into the USA, this is going to be a must, something that you have to start doing right away to start building all those other joint assets, like your utilities together, your car insurance, health insurance, all those other things you need to live together. Okay? Thank you for the likes and hearts on TikTok. And another big one, guys, I talk about this all the time for regular couples, but this is even more so important in this type of relationship, is your joint financial assets. Okay? Joint financial assets like bank accounts, filing your taxes together, buying property together, or a car, just any asset that's used in your family that has big financial implications. It's best if you're both on that type of document to really show your commitment, because we have to convince them, guys. They're just not going to believe that a 7-year-old, a 70-year-old is really interested in this 20-year-old. It's just something they just won't believe. And if you're not applying for a green card, nobody's going to walk up to you and ask you any questions. Do whatever you want. This is really only because we're talking about a green card case here, and because of the increased fraud marriage, these are some of the requirements. Okay, I see a question on Facebook. I'll get to that in a while. Thank you for asking. Hello. Thank you for being here. So I hope this is making sense to you all, for those of you watching. And if you're watching this after we've aired live, my information is going to be in the comments, my number, my link to book a call with me, so you can discuss one-on-one about whatever issues you're facing relating to getting your green card. Okay? So, Munaz, I'm going to get into your question and continue on from there. But essentially, the main thing for this topic is so that you all know that a big age difference can be a red flag, but it's not, it shouldn't stop you from applying. It is possible to still get approved with a large age difference. You just have to keep it in mind that they're looking at you with big side eye. Okay? All right, so Muna says, what type of questions do they focus on when the beneficiary goes to the interview? And Muna's definitely important for your beneficiary and you. I'm not sure if you're the beneficiary or the U.S. citizen, to practice. We have interview practice questions that we give to our clients. You need to talk about each other and make sure you're on the same page about things about your relationship. So at the interview, they're going to focus on, number one, how you met, okay, who proposed, and the second thing, or the final thing, is what's the plan once a person comes into the USA? You're the petitioner, you're the US citizen. Okay, great. So does your spouse know your house, where you live? Because they've never been to the US before, but they should know your house address, where you live, what the plan is when they come in, like the very next thing you're going to do. And then those initial how you met, who proposed questions definitely going to come up, especially with this age difference type of thing. They just essentially want to make sure nobody's being, because there's also that aspect of abuse and coercion and making sure everyone is safe in this whole situation. Okay, because if the younger person is proposing, then there will be more questions following up to that. Like, how did you decide this is the person you're going to be with? Like, how does this just happen? How did we get here that we're now married and moving, across the world to be with this person? So you need to know those things. It's quite different from those who are already in the USA. They also want to know how you met and all of that stuff. But for the most part, they'll ask you about what your living space, like if you're living together, what is the color of your couch? I've been to interviews that asked that. What's the color of the rug? I was like, what? But all those questions, I have them in a list. It's 150 questions. So if you want that, if you're watching this live right now, just comment something and I'll DM you and try to send that to you. I usually have a link for that, but I don't think I have that today. But if you just want interview guide or anything, just comment on the live and I'll send it to you. Okay. If for those of you on TikTok, just DM me because essentially you might not be able to comment on this live and it stays because we don't see the live after we're done. But yes, I hope that answers Munaz, and you can essentially get some peace of mind with that since you're not going to be there for the interview. Yeah. T-Ball. Of course, we're going to send you a list for many reasons, T-Ball, because you're one of our special clients for one, and you're our client. We always make sure our clients are prepared for the interviews for sure. Okay. The book I have is free. It's a 150 question checklist. It's a free checklist, so you could just get that for free. Generally, my clients get it for free as part of their service. But if you wanted to do an interview prep or something with me, we give it to you for free as well. I think there's actually a link right now, but this is on Facebook and on YouTube. You can see a link for that list of questions. And some people sometimes be like, why do I need to practice for my interview? My marriage is real. I'm like, yeah, but there are just some things about your spouse you just may not know, that you just haven't got to that point in your relationship. You need to know about the children they have, the children's names, like, because this shows that on a day-to-day, you all are talking, you have a relationship. It's not just on paper. Okay? So, hope that answers. Let me see another question that came up here. Okay, let me answer Nawal on Facebook. Nawal, thank you for being here. I know you're always on my lives, so appreciate it. Let's answer Nawal, and I'll get to the other ones I see from Myra and who else? Mars. Okay. Nawal says it's a 14-year age gap with a 1-year-old together and another baby on the way. A good way to prove age difference doesn't matter. Okay, Nawal. Period. Yes, it is. 14 years, definitely over the 10-year threshold, so it'll raise some eyebrows. But you have 2 kids together. That's it. So in this scenario, I'm pretty sure with whatever age gap that is, somebody is still able to have a child up in here. In some age gaps I've seen, there's no child that's going to happen just because it's just such a large age difference, except it's like a older man and a younger woman. But if it's an older woman and a younger man, generally having children will be difficult for them to prove their relationship. But in your case, go ahead. You're great. You have history, you have commingled everything, assets, children, you're good. So thank you for bringing that up. I think you are in my Facebook group actually, Nawal. I feel like I've seen your name just in so many different places. Appreciate you for always supporting and being here on our lives. I see one of my other clients, EK Mafia. Thank you for being here. I see, who's this? Arrow Peto. Y'all's names are always interesting to pronounce on these lives. I hope I'm saying it correctly, but let me know if there's a way I can pronounce it to be correct, and if you have more questions. Okay, thank you so much. All right. Nawal says, I'm the old one here. My 37. Okay, 37 is not old, girl, but I guess 37 versus your husband's 23. Okay, 23, 37, that's okay because we're able to still prove that commingled day-to-day life. So you're good. Thank you for sharing that with us and giving us context, because sometimes these questions, it's only if you're going through the process that you may understand what I'm talking about, because you're like, love is love is love. And you're right, it is. But when it comes to immigration, they really just have different requirements. They want to make sure people aren't trying to be deceptive or take advantage of someone or anything, or the system, So a great question and contribution to this live. Thank you very much. Basiru Ismalia, I've known you for years. Thank you for being here on this live. I didn't even know you were still on my page, but I'm glad to see you today. Thank you. So a question from Myra. Myra, I hope you're still here. Please give me a thumbs up. I just didn't mean to get into that question, but it was exciting to see someone actually living what I'm talking about right now. So it is possible, guys. You can get your green card regardless of the age difference. Just know that there is a red flag that you need to address. Okay? All right. So Myra says, I sent my adjustment of status March 8th. Okay? My I-765 was returned due to filed wrong. Do I have to pay for I-765? Oh, Myra, March 8th. That was before the fee increase, but now, yes, you would have to pay for I-765. Because with the fee increase that happened this month, April 1st, you all know I talked about that on this page, Taya. April 1st, make sure you file. A lot of you did. In my firm, we're able to send out 20 plus applications, which is great. And I've seen a lot of them being accepted right now, because sending out is one thing, getting accepted is another thing, because it could get rejected. In Myra's case, it got returned, so you will have to then pay for the I-765 with the new fees when you're sending it back. Okay, so they said filed wrong. What does that mean? Can you shed more light on that, Myra? Like, what did you file wrong? Was it just the form fees weren't in there, or you selected something? Like, what happened? Let us know. Okay. Kelly, thank you for being here again on my live about this VAWA situation. I definitely want to talk with your friend about it. But to just answer your question about the timeline, Kelly says, what's the average time to get a green card through VAWA if you have enough evidence? And the answer to that is 3 years. I really can't even say 1, because within the first year, you're still just getting your work permit. For the most part, it's been 3 years. Only one of my clients, and I don't even know, I've been trying to figure out what happened in her case so I can just replicate this for you all. But I don't really think it was anything that we did. We always put forth a good case to the USCIS when it comes to self-petitions, whatever we're doing. We always have a great argument. We always support you throughout and all of that. But this woman, within 9 months, okay? No joke. We applied March 2022. Never forget, very specific. December 2022, right before we entered the new year, she got approved. So that was just her. The rest of my clients, it takes a minute, okay? But nonetheless, you will get your work permit and everything else, and you should be good. The great thing, though, about VAWA, I believe since April 1st, with the fee changes and all of that, for VAWA self-petitions, you can actually file without paying any form fees for the I-485, which before, VAWA self-petition is free, but you have to pay for the I-485, which was $1,200 something back then. Now, I-485 is a whole different amount, okay? And Kelly, yes, that's the average. It could take 6 months to a year. Most of my clients in all over the place. Where are you living again? Where are you located? They get they've gotten 6 months, 8 months, 11 months. That's always the timeline. Okay, so sometimes that happens. You're in Texas, okay? That could definitely take some time because there's more people there applying for sure, but you'll get it eventually. Okay. I see a question from EK. EK, thank you very much for being in my lives and asking a question. So let's read that question real quick, and I will check some more on TikTok. I'm just reaching and stretching because all my devices are all over the place today, but I know you all are here regardless to get these answers. So let's get into that one. So this question says, why is it taking USCIS a while to send a receipt notice for EAD renewal? And what can be done to further have the receipt notice to be sent out to avoid employment interruption. Great question. This has actually come up a lot of the times here when it comes to EAD renewals. And, usually EAD renewals are automatic, or at least in the past it was, where you get that 540-day renewal. Someone on TikTok says no sound. Is that still the case? Can you all hear me? Let me know. But EAD renewals should be automatic, and I'll do a search here to see if that 540 days or something like that they give is still in effect. But with those extensions or automatic extensions, they usually would just send out the receipt notice just whenever. There's really no time frame. A typical receipt notice for a normal case could be anywhere from 10 days, a couple of weeks. I've waited 3 months before for a receipt notice, and this was a VAWA case, but it was a new case though. Don't know why it took 3 months. It's just no rhyme or reason to these things. I believe that they think that because you have your work authorization and they give you that extension, that should be enough for the employers, and it really should be. I believe we did that for one of our clients. So reach out to me. I think we actually already talked about this, right? Sending a letter to your employers so that they can know there's some sort of extension going on. And that should suffice, because this is the government we're dealing with. If the government says there's an extension, they should work with that. Okay? So I hope that answers you, Ike. And hopefully we'll get it soon enough. It's usually tough to request a receipt notice because a receipt notice gives you your case number and everything like that. Without a case number, there's like nothing going on. The case hasn't been accepted or processed or whatever. There's just no case number. So that's kind of like how I would handle that one there. But let's talk more about that outside of the live, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, Missy says she can hear me. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm getting through the questions. I think I see some more that were coming up here, both on TikTok and on Instagram. Okay, let me answer one on TikTok first, and then we can continue. Okay, this is from Mars. Okay, Mars. Oh, Mars, I hope you're still here because you asked this question a while ago. Thank you very much for joining the live and supporting and asking your questions. Mars says, F1 student applying for AOS through status, but currently unemployed. Do I have to continue? How are you applying for adjustment status? Is it through marriage? And you're currently unemployed. As an F1 student, you don't need to be employed for a green card. You're the beneficiary. You're not the U.S. citizen. So, I'm not really sure what your question is, but if it's about continuing school, you should definitely continue school so that you don't fall out of status. Because if for whatever reason your green card isn't processed on time, or you just whatever happens, you fall out of status. Some people take that risk because they feel like, okay, you might get an automatic waiver if you're supposed to be a U.S. citizen, but it's just something that I encourage people to just keep on going to school as long as you can and waiting for that marriage-based green card. Okay. All right, Mars, thank you very much. Give me a thumbs up if you actually heard my response, because I know you asked a while ago. I don't know if you're still here. I know how lives work. You're kind of in and out, because we all have to be pressing our phones, right? I do the same thing when I'm watching other people's lives. I'm like in, and I go out to check whatever. But yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so Victor, thank you for your question here on Instagram. Victor says, does a U.S. citizen, let me make sure I can see it. Does a U.S. citizen with dating violence arrest record with a disposition as withdrawn have a K-1 petition approved? Oh, Victor, that's a tough one, because for one, we don't know what's going to get approved, right? When we apply, we just apply based on the facts. But number two, I believe that when you are a U.S. citizen applying for any petition, any crimes relating to domestic violence or domestic crimes essentially could prevent your petition from just going through in general, not even approved or denied. You just don't qualify to apply, essentially. There is a specific rule about that. And this is really to protect the immigrants, right? If someone is a kidnapper or an abuser or whatever the case may be, they're not going to let you apply for somebody that's going to be abused in the US. They're going to deny that stuff. So I'm not really sure, even though it was withdrawn, I'm not 100% sure. I'll need to talk to this person one-on-one to see exactly what type of violence arrest, dating violence arrest, that's kind of broad, happened, and see if they even qualify. So before we even get to the approval part, okay? So, yeah. So I don't know what can be done by them, Victor, but they just need to at least talk to an immigration lawyer before filing. That's what I know for sure. Anything relating to criminal and immigration, definitely need a lawyer to discuss that. Okay? So thanks for that. All right, so I see another question here on TikTok. And for those of you guys on YouTube and Facebook, don't be shy. Ask your questions. I'm here to answer them. And if you're just joining for the first time, I'm Ify, USA immigration attorney here in Charlotte, North Carolina, helping clients all over the USA. Okay, so on TikTok, I see Bay Bianca. Okay, Bay. Bay Bianca says, how long will it take for a receipt when you file for an I-130 for a spouse in Africa? So this is simple family-based petition, which takes about a year to a year and a half to process. Receipt notices takes anywhere from 10 days to a couple weeks. I just answered a question earlier about a receipt notice not coming in soon enough. Sometimes we need it to come in soon enough because you don't want employment interruption and things like that. But it really just depends. Okay, so with a I-130, I would expect it within 2 weeks. Or so receipt notice is just really just to give you a case number, essentially. It's not, it doesn't really indicate anything. It's not an approval. It's just saying, okay, we saw your paperwork and everything adds up. So we're gonna review it and we're gonna get back to you with a decision. Okay, so it does take a while. Let me see one of my clients' timeline here who had that same issue in terms of receipt notices not coming in on time. Let's see when it finally came in. So, yeah, but great question all around. Thank you very much for being here. Fresh, co-fresh. Okay, lots of you coming in on Instagram today. That's interesting. That's cool. Usually I get all these questions from people on TikTok, but y'all Instagram are not playing. Nawal was holding it down for Facebook, so thank you. On YouTube, we're still waiting for you guys. So, but if you're watching this after the live is aired, just to ask a question and we should be able to answer you there. Okay. All right. Another one that I may have missed, let's see, Baby Bianca Fino says, I just filed I-130 and got a receipt. Can I immediately file I-29F for my spouse? Fino, yes. And for those of you who don't know what an I-29F is in this scenario, it is for a K3 visa, which could potentially allow your spouse coming to the USA well before the I-130 is approved. It is not a very common visa, sometimes doesn't even get approved, but it can help speed up your I-130 process because once they deny the I-29F, they usually approve the I-130. So, but in my law firm, we actually file them together. So there's literally no wait time. I filed the I-130 and the I-29F together to get that, just for everything is not a different form fee. I believe it's the same. Well, actually, don't quote me. This is April. I don't know if things have changed in that regard, but it's usually the same fee. Okay. And once you get that, once you file it and get it in, your spouse could potentially be allowed to visit, especially if you have small children or there's just a particular reason why the spouse needs to come in before the approval process, which is like a year, 2 years down the line. Okay. All right. So let's see this one here. All right, but thank you so much for that question. This is from Fino. Appreciate it. Baby Bianca, you're welcome. I'm just happy that you all are here to get your answers while we're still live. Okay, don't forget to join us every Tuesday and Thursday for a session like this where I'm talking about a topic and that raises some questions. Or if you just have random questions relating to the immigration process, I'm here for you. Okay, thank you very much. Freshco Fresh says, I just got married and my wife needs to get her citizenship as she's here on a work visa. I was told it costs $5,000 minimum to hire a lawyer for help. Is that true? Fresco Fresh, I don't know what's true in terms of the average of what attorneys charge. In general, maybe that might be a Google answer. But what we charge will be dependent on what your case entails, right? It's a case by case basis. There is a standard fee for marriage-based green card, but I'm not sure if your spouse has any inadmissibilities or any reason why they can't file for this green card in a straight, normal way, or whether you, as a U.S. citizen, actually earn enough income to actually support this application. So we need to have a consultation first. My consultations are $199 right now. I believe we're going to be having a special going on soon, probably by this weekend or Monday, starting Monday. We're going to have a special for $99 consults with me. But for right now, book a call with me. Let's talk about your particular scenario. Let me give you a quote based on our service. And you get to see all the things we also offer as well and see if that fits into what you're looking for. And then we can make a plan from there. Okay. I think when it comes to immigration services, you have to think about the value versus the money. Because money is just money. I say this all the time to people because when I got that insight, it really freed me up to start doing a lot of the things I really liked. Because that idea of wanting to save money, you're just never going to save money. It's never going to be enough. Or holding back from going for the best things that you deserve because you think, I don't know, it's just too expensive. Like, what does that even mean? Aren't you worth it? Aren't you worth any amount of money? Imagine if they told you you're sick and you need to do some transplant or something, and it's like $10,000, $20,000, whatever amount of thousands they say, you're gonna be like, do it, because your life is priceless. Doesn't matter. If getting a green card is important to you, if living in the USA is important to you, if staying with your family is important to you, you're gonna think about those things. And whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $2,000, $1,000, it doesn't matter. Money is just money, and money flows. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. That's life. Okay. So, but thanks for bringing that up. It's something I always tell to the people in my group and just anybody I meet. I'm like, it doesn't have to do with immigration service. Just in general, go for the things that you deserve and stop holding yourself back because of money. Because once you go for it and money sees that you're going for it, and money will just show up so you can pay for it. That's how that works. Okay. All right, so Yao, thank you for your patience and your question here. I saw your name before in the chat. Thank you for joining. Yao says, my wife has an I-130 appointment, but my question is, are we all going to be allowed to do the interview? Okay. Yao, are you the U.S. citizen or the non-citizen? It says your wife has the appointment, or I'm confused, because if you're outside the USA, you're not going to go for the interview. Like, only one person, whoever is there, will go. If you're inside the USA, then both of you all have to go because it's a spousal thing. Okay. If it's an I-130 interview based on a pending I-45, definitely both of you need to go. Okay. Okay. Okay, I see another comment from one of my clients as well. I actually love this for my clients to actually come on here and ask me questions. So I'm going to definitely let you all know when I am live, so you can feel free to ask me questions. I'm always here for like 30 to 45 minutes, and you can get that clarity from me. Okay, so this is one of my clients, G-Star, self-made, thank you, says, current client, I got my work permit and my travel parole about a year ago, but I'm scared to travel. What plans can you give me? Boy, you need to text me ASAP because I'm pretty sure I've told you that you can travel with your travel permit. As long as your case is still pending, you're going to be allowed to come back in. A lot of people are scared of traveling, even though they've prayed and waited for that travel permit because they think they're not going to let them come back in. And really, if you have a basis for being in the USA, whatever adjustment of status you applied for based on marriage or based on anything like that, if that's legit, you're going to come back into the USA. Even if there are complications at the border, you're going to come back into the USA because, that's what the travel permit is for. Except you committed a crime, something like they put your fingerprints in, they're like, nah, murder, whatever. I always use murder like it's the most dramatic one, but it doesn't have to be that serious. Then they could discretionarily decide not to let you in because all these things, guys, immigration, visas, they're all discretionary. Like it's not a must. It's depending on the person viewing it. Now we have rules and laws put into place so that they don't pick and choose. You know how they be doing up in here in this country that we live in. There's a lot of classism and racism and all that stuff. These are facts. It's not anything that I made up. So because of that, we have rules in place to make sure that everybody is being treated fairly, but it doesn't mean that it has to be an approval. That's why you hire an attorney, so that we can fight for you when the time comes. We're not just a form filling service. We're not just here to fill out your forms and do all that basic stuff. We're here to fight for you when the time comes. Okay? When they try to deny you based on something that may be discriminatory, we'll be like, excuse me, no ma'am. The law says XYZ, no ma'am, change that ASAP and give us our decision. And they usually be like, okay, you right. But you all are not going to be able to make those arguments for yourself because you just don't even know where to begin. Like this is something that you learn. Number one, going to law school, you learn how to do the arguments. And then number two, being an immigration attorney, you have resources and people behind you to support whatever it is you're saying. But clients just don't have that because you just don't. Nothing bad against you. It's just how it works. That's why I have a job. That's why I'm here. Okay. And Freshco Fresh is asking if can we do this on our own, if they can file the application on their own. And the short answer is yes, you can. But you have to think about what your situation is in terms of how complicated it is, if there's any red flags, like a big age difference, like we were talking about earlier today, 10 plus years, or any criminal stuff, any visa overstays, anything that could affect the final decision. You definitely want to get some consult with a lawyer to know what those options are, how to navigate. Because like I said, it's not only about filling out the forms and sending that out. If you know how to read ABCD, you're going to be able to do that. If you know how to read your name, write a few numbers, you can answer the forms. You may not know how to calculate the income requirement though. I mean, I'm still learning that stuff still today. Especially when it's like more than a family of two. It's just like, OMG. Okay. Or if the family's bringing assets, it's like, OMG. We have to make sure that the agent, who's also just a girl, just a human being in our house, can understand what we're putting down. So that also reduces the chances of the person just looking at it and I mean like, I don't understand. I beg, denied. So that's why we're here, to make it easy for you to understand, for them to understand, and then at the end of the day, you get your results. Okay, we don't make the decisions. I don't have any insider knowledge in the USCIS. Some people call me and think that's the case. They'd be like, can't you just call them? Or can't you just tell them this and that? I'm like, well, I just can't. We have to follow certain procedures. And if they mess up, then I come in with something else for them. Okay. That's kind of like my answer for that one. You're very welcome, Final. I see a question. Miss Thompson, I think I missed your question. How are you? Saw you here earlier today. Thank you for being here. Hello. Hey, y'all. Thanks for being here. Miss Thompson says, is the UK processing time for I-130 around the same time for Africa, or should we expect shorter? Miss Thompson, expect shorter. If you live in Canada or anywhere in Europe, expect shorter for several reasons. Earlier, I talked about discrimination and racism. That's a thing, okay? It's a thing that actually affects some of the African countries with their processing. And the second thing that affects is just the structures over there. If you're dealing with a third world country, they're just going to have slower processing for everything because everything is manual. Everything is, manual. It's different. Maybe they don't have lights one day and then, or they just don't come to work one day. Because in other countries that are not capitalized, like here, capitalism central, people actually relax and live life. They don't just work 9 to 5 every day, nonstop, 247. So in those countries, they're just taking their sweet time, and that will affect the timeline for sure. It's nothing bad against them. It's just how it is. And like I said, there's that discrimination as well, because the people who are processing these things are also going to give a higher scrutiny to people from Nigeria, for example. I'm Nigerian, so I can speak on this because it's happened to my Nigerian clients as well. They get discriminated against, and that causes delays for them. Because it's almost like, oh, are you sure, you didn't, whatever. They always think we're doing 419, which is fraud, essentially. Of which we're not. Okay, that was back in the day when that was just a whole, Nigerian prince scam thing. But that's the reputation, and that does affect timeline. Sadly, but it does. Okay, but yeah, I hope I answered your question, Missy Thompson. Yeah. Oh, girl, don't even be sorry about discrimination. I mean, I'm not even sorry. I just see it as what it is. It's unfortunate, and people don't understand that the earth is really the Lord's, and we don't even need to be doing any of this. But here we are. We have a world that has borders, and we do all these things. We're all people of the earth. I don't really. If I wasn't an immigration attorney, I wonder what I'll be really doing. But now as an attorney, what I try to make this about is helping other immigrants live their fullest life wherever they find themselves, right? Because if you're in the USA, if you choose to migrate over here, or you just find yourself here because your parents brought you here as a teenager, like me, you need a green card. You need to do things to be able to actually have that full life. That's my role here. So I don't really focus on all the discrimination, all these things. I'm like, no, I want that for their pockets, because they don't understand the concepts of what it means to be human and have this human experience. So they're going through a whole nother thing that's, we just don't talk about. So yeah, it is what it is. We fight for you. We make sure those things don't affect you too much. And we do our best. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Jetaway immigration. If we focus on that, we'll never get anything done. Exactly. We just have to focus on what we can actually manage and improve our lives. But the rest of it is just noise. Okay. In fact, that's the whole reason why discrimination and all these things exist, to distract us from what is truly important. And over here at this law firm, we don't get distracted. I focus, and sometimes I don't know how you all view me, but in my own head, sometimes I feel like people might think I'm just what's the word? Maybe my head is in the cloud, or I don't really know what's going on, because I'm always just smiling and happy and life is fun. That's just because that's why I choose to focus on. Doesn't mean I don't know what's happening. I just don't give energy to that stuff. My life is going pretty great with that type of mindset. So if you're following me or you're my supporter in any way, I hope that this translates to you and you can focus on what is really important to you. Not money, not 5K, 10K, all these trivial things. Just know that if you're connected to God and anything that you want in life, you're going to get it. Just put your mind to it, put your heart to it, and go with a lawyer, go with someone who knows what they're doing, and you're going to get it. Okay? So That's it. I don't know if I've missed any more questions that may have come up while I was going on and on. I usually have these preaching sessions during my lives because I'm just like, listen, we need to realize, like, I'm not even sure where people get off acting like they created themselves or brought themselves into this world. Like, you just woke up one day and found yourself here. So try to make the best of it. Be kind to people. Like, what else? You know? So, Myra, I did answer your question. So it sounds like you were not here when I answered your question. So maybe we should chat outside of this. But Myra is still asking the same question about the I-765. If you all heard earlier where I talked about the fee changes, and now that it was rejected since March 8th, you might have to pay a new I-765 fee. So that was my answer to you, Myra. I'm not sure what it got returned for, though. I would like to know, because you said it was returned due to being filed wrong. But what does that mean by filed wrong? Okay. Yeah. Yes, shed away. Definitely be good to people and it'll work itself out. That's just all you have to do. I even say this to my clients who I'm dealing with here. Sometimes some clients are rude and just difficult. I'm like, listen, you're not doing me, you're doing yourself, because this energy that you have, you're putting that towards your case. And you can't expect to be rude and act the way you act and think that God's going to bless you for that. It's not. So you're going to face some challenges that really has nothing to do with me, because we're going to do a good job, okay? But you, on your part, since this is your case and your energy, you need to just be thankful and look forward for the best. But if you're doing all this mago, I'll just be looking at you. It doesn't really affect me because of this mindset that I have. And then you'll see the results when the time comes. It has nothing to do with me. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Myra says it just says improperly filed. Improperly filed. Man, that's broad. Is there something you selected you weren't supposed to select, or is there like what's happened? I'd like to see it though. If you want our help with doing a refile, we can help you with that so you don't make the same mistakes. Maybe send us a copy of what you sent, because I don't know what was improperly filed there. Okay. I see a question on YouTube actually from Chrissy B. Thank you. Oh, the only YouTube person today. Well, thank you for being here. Hello, how long does it take to get a work permit, marriage-based green card? Oh, work permit, typical one. Let's say 6 months to a year. Okay, 6 months to a year. That's the typical time you will expect for that. Okay. Oh, Myra, I wish that would work. I don't think that it would, though. Generally, it would. If you send the I-45 receipt notice that you already paid for, it would, but the fees have changed. Even the fees for that I-45 has changed. So, I don't know. And once they reject it, it's not considered properly filed, so it's not accepted. So it's a new I-751 you're filing, or I-765, yeah. Okay. I don't know. So sorry about that. Okay. Let's see if I missed any other questions here. Missy says, okay, you filed in September and you're still waiting. Okay, that's still short. Oh. Man, I think my phone died. That's still short. So guys on Instagram, my bad. Charge it here. But yeah, if it's been September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So it's been 6-7 months. I think you should still be good. But yeah. Okay. I think now that Instagram has died, we can call it a day. I've actually stayed a bit longer than typical 45-minute live, which I don't mind. I love talking to you all. I feel very happy doing this job. I feel it's my purpose, and that's the only thing we should be doing while we're here. And I'm thankful to you all for helping me achieve that purpose by coming to these lives and signing up in my law firm and just interacting. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And for those of you who asked questions, who participated, thank you very much. Yeah, last question I see is from Salad or Salad. Salad says, why is RFE taking time these days? I mean, it really depends on what that RFE was about, because I just did one the other day that got approved in 3 weeks. This client came to me after they got an RFE, and we helped them reply to the RFE. And in 3 weeks, their case was approved. We didn't even get, that was it. Because with RFEs, you don't really get anything back to say, okay, we received your RFE. They're just going to give you a decision after that. Right? So, essentially, if it's a complicated response, it may take a longer time. If it's an easy response, it may be a shorter time. Can't really say, Salad, but great question. Yeah, and for those of you on TikTok, I'm gonna put my number in the thing and just pin it so you can give me a call whenever. You can also check the link in my bio and you'll be able to see that. But yeah, I hope you all have been blessed today with this live. I know I have. It is my utmost pleasure to be here doing what I do for y'all. So thank you very much. Make sure, how's this thing writing now? I wish I knew how to do the comments easier, because I feel like I can't see it. Oh, 919-925-2295. That's my phone number. So I'm going to pin it here so you can have it, and just take a screenshot and give me a call after we're done. Okay? Chrissy B, you're very welcome. Happy I answered your question. So that's it from me, you guys. Last question from CDF, because this one is actually important to know. Does your spouse need to be employed to file an I-130 for their partner? Yes, because there's that income requirement for the U.S. citizen to earn a certain amount of money to be able to support the application. Okay, so yes. All right. Thanks for the likes, the hearts, and everything. Appreciate you all. Have a blessed rest of your day. And don't forget to follow me and turn on your notifications, especially on Facebook and YouTube, so that you can know when I do go live every week. And on Friday, which is tomorrow, we're going to be live in the Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the group yet, you can join. That link is also going to be in my bio. It's a group called Green Card Through Marriage, something. But you'll see it. Just join my group. We'll do one-on-one consults there. And none of this is legal advice anyway, because it's a public setting. It's really tough to give legal advice to one person in a public setting. But I make sure that you have some clarity on things, and we're able to get you to where you need to be, give you some confidence on mindset shifts so that you can really, really achieve the success that you deserve. All right? Thanks again, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.